Hello. Now, a lot of people always ask me, why do you try and change your car every year to year and a half? And I'm going to explain why. And it's not about I want to be seen in the latest car. There's a couple of things. First, it's technology, then it's warranty, and then there's creature comfort. So, starting with technology. I've been driving electric cars for 4 years, coming on 4 years. And originally, electric car was 40 kilowatts. So if you think of how many miles you get from 40 kilowatts and you're flying around the city, sometimes the country, those times I could drive all over the place. I could even drive down to Brighton, and I wasn't restricted by zones. So that meant I had to recharge a lot and stop and recharge. Charging was cheap, but it was also slow. You didn't have the superchargers at those times. So as technology goes on, it improves. So if I keep that same car, then I'm at a disadvantage in a year to come, 2 years, and so on and so forth. Keeping in mind, I got the car on the rent to buy. Yeah, not renting at first, so it's rent to buy. So just to explain, rent to buy is where you own the car at the end of the 4-year period, and you pay weekly payments, which covers everything. All you end up doing is paying a £500 or whatever the private hire company that you're using state that you must pay as a deposit. So that's all very well. But going back to the technology improving, next year, the same model car, which was a Kia EV Niro, their battery was 50 kilowatts. So if I handed in that old car and I go for a newer car, I may lose £500 deposit, which I can also claim back on tax deductible. But at the same time, I'm getting a better car with more mileage capability. Therefore, I do not have to stop and take a break and wait for an hour or 2 hours or however it's going to be. And I'm not also caught in the queues waiting for chargers, because at those times there wasn't that many chargers, let alone rapid chargers, and the rapid chargers were like 50 kilowatts. So those are another reasons. When it comes to warranty, if you think of warranty, when you phone up the insurance company, they usually ask you on the civilian, it's on a non-commercial basis, sorry, how many miles do you plan to do that year? And it's something from 4,000 to 12,000. So let's go with 10,000 as the mean average. But in this business, as a private hire driver, you drive for 50,000 miles a year. So technically, you've put 5 years usage of that car in 1 year. Now, when you think of it like that, is it really sensible keeping that car because it was only really built to last for a certain period of time before maintenance and other issues are going to kick in? And we know with most things electronic, it's a 5-year span that they allow the car to be warranted for. Now, on the basis of warranty, for instance, there's a Skoda Enyaq car, which I drive. The battery has a warranty of 100,000 miles, but the vehicle has a warranty of 60,000 miles. So after a year and a bit, I'm outside my warranty. That means anything with wear and tear, I have to pay for. Shocks, brakes, the rubber bits, seals, all of those moving parts that can be classed as wear and tear, I have to pay for. So what I'm doing is removing that by getting a newer car. Now, when it comes to comfort, what we're looking at is there's no heat pumps originally when they invented electric cars. And just to let you know, a heat pump is a system separate from the main part of the working parts of the car. So when you're driving, if you have the AC on or the heating on, it doesn't drain the main battery. That doesn't stop the battery in winter losing its performance, because batteries operate better in the heat than they do in the cold. But what that does mean, you're not going to lose power from that main source battery that gives you mileage, based on the fact that you've got this device called a heat pump, which allows you to heat or cool the car for the environment separately. Now, some cars don't come with heat pumps. I recommend getting a car with a heat pump, because there's nothing worse than having to charge twice or three times in the winter time based in when you're living in the United Kingdom. Very annoying. Sometimes these things have to be done, but these are another reasons why, as technology improves, things get better. Say originally they didn't have a heat pumps, but now they do. So can you see the reasons why it may make sense, depending on your personal circumstances? And this is only for the people who either rent to buy. It's not the people who rent, because if you're renting, you can hand that car back at any time. They understand that you're going to hand the car back. That's the deal. Everything's covered. You just make sure you pay your weekly payments. And how your payments and the conditions obviously depends on whether you're doing it on a commercial basis or a private basis. Private meaning, that man down the street, he's got a car and he's willing to, and it's all badged up, so he's got the PHV certificate and everything else. He's agreed that he's going to allow you to use that car for a certain amount of payments, and you've made everything legit to a proper POC company who are well established, who are going to make sure you're well within the law. So this is why I make sure I do rent to buy, and I hand that car in. I don't lose money because I write things off as tax deductible, but I recognise that the car is only really guaranteed for 5 years on the domestic basis of 10,000 miles a year. With Skoda Enyaq, kind of gives you an extra year because they say it's 60,000 miles. But I've passed that now, and I've had the car a year and a bit. So feel free, if you've got any questions you want to put down there, by all means, I will answer them to my best of my ability. But this is my logic and my understanding to why I do it. And then you've got other things, creature comforts. They realise with, like, there's not enough USB-C ports, or they may have the old cigarette lighter in the car. That's no good anymore. People want the USB because technology change that is improving. They want USB ports in the rear now, so passengers in the rear can utilize those. The car companies are always thinking more and more ahead. They're consulting. There's market research companies also, just to let you know, who are interested in what you as a driver has to think about. And I involve myself personally with them to give them input from a private hire driving position point of view. So I hope this has helped. As always, put any questions in a bit down below, and I'm happy to answer them. And also let me know what else you want to know about, because I'm more than happy to have that discussion.